My pick for Album of the Month in April is actually 2 picks for Album of the Month in April. And not really because I think one of the records is equally as good as the other. It's moreover because I think that these 2 records serve as a great comparison of what they represent in the genre that they are a part of. And they both are a part of the post-rock genre. For those who are unfamiliar with post-rock is an incredibly vague term which can be described in any number of ways, but it is often talked about as being about using rock instrumentation in a non-rock oriented way. And today I'm going to be talking about one of the founding fathers of the genre and their newest release, God's Pee at State's End, which is a terrible fucking title because I don't think God's Pee is a pun on Godspeed, but I just think God's Pee. Okay, you take out one letter, it's still God's Pee, but they're not the album of the month this month. No, my album of the month this month is Brutes, The Machine is Burning, and Now Everyone Knows It Could Happen Again, the newcomer to the post-rock genre who's making their debut with this record. And surprisingly, out of nowhere, they just popped up and gained some notoriety, despite being a relatively small band with only 1 EP before them and being a no-namer out of France. But they managed to make changes in the genre that I feel are important in evolving post-rock and, creating an interesting sonic experience, which is, generally speaking, the purpose of post-rock. Now, that being said, why does the newcomer get the Album of the Month title and the veteran not? Well, it's because the newcomer is offering something new, plain and simple. Because the thing is, God's Pee is nothing interesting. It's good, of course. It's solid instrumentation all around, but it doesn't change anything. It's not groundbreaking. It doesn't do anything interesting. And a lot of the dynamics that they go for are incredibly predictable. Looking back at what made them famous, their album Lift Your Skinny Fists Like Antennas to Heaven is very unpredictable. Once you listen it to the first time, you don't know what to expect. I remember when I made my friend online listen to this album alongside with me, and I eventually didn't know what to do and didn't know what to say because anything didn't happen yet. I mean, it was still good, but just when you're trying to show off music, it's not something you can show off easily because it's a very slow-moving album, and once it crescendos, it goes places. And I don't know how to describe it other than that, and I suggest you actually listen to that album. I just had to keep prefacing while I was showing him the music in a Discord call that it eventually gets good. That's what I had to say to him. It eventually gets good and has like an emotional peak. It just takes its time, and everyone loves it. It takes its time, and it feels like that time is earned. And that's the problem, is God's Pee doesn't earn its little runtime for me because a lot of it is too simplistic and it just doesn't go anywhere interesting. And it tries to be something deeper, as many post-rock albums try to do, but it just falls completely short of doing anything like that. It tries to have these brief spoken word segments, and it just doesn't go anywhere interesting with them. It's trying to go for some vaguely political message. It misses the mark on doing anything meaningful. And they try to make more substance out of the linear notes, but it's like, who the fuck reads the linear notes to an album? Like, there's a minuscule number of people who would actually do that. And for someone to do that, they'd have to like your music in the first place. And that brings me to why I like The Machine is Burning infinitely better. Because what it does is it keeps things interesting. Because it, not only with the instrumentation, not only with how they change things around, but mainly it just is a solid record. It does something unique that hasn't been done in post-rock in a while and changed things up. Like the opening track, Industry, is this weird mix of like the traditional, post-rock orchestral scores with this odd electronic infused drumming that makes it kind of clash against the orchestration, but it comes off as music to the ears. Ironically enough, it's just well textured and keeps everything varied, and it feels like that kind of serves a purpose for the message of the album, which eventually it gets to on later tracks. And on the second track, Renaissance, it keeps things even more varied by introducing tons of instrumentation, like the guitar and the piano and the oboe or the clarinet or whatever it is. Those things just add so much more to the beautiful soundscape that they're going for. My god, it makes you look forward to the new changes that happen in each track, and Godspeed does not do that for me. And each instrument feels in place with the soundscape because it's going for this very naturalistic environment on the second track, and then it just boom hits you out of nowhere, the crescendo into, traditional post-rock crescendo, which, it's a little generic, but whatever. It still feels satisfying when it happens, and it still, makes you want to listen to the rest of the song, because some post-rock is just you hit the crescendo, and then it's just, oh, that's it. Okay, I'm done. I'm done here. Yep. But no, it makes you want to keep listening to the album, and that's what I like about it. It feels like it grabs your attention by having this instrumentation and having the soundscape be as interesting as it is. I think because it's supposed to be, a very natural world, and it has the contrast of the electronics in the opening track. That comes back in the third track, Amazing Old Tree, where this open word section talks about this really old tree, this amazing old tree, as it says. And it talks about, environmentalism and trees and nature and everything, how it's fading and going away. And it doesn't feel completely forced. Just a little bit. Just a little bit forced. But it does not destroy the album. It's only for, a brief section of one song, and it does not destroy that song in any way. Nay, I think it, sets up for the song perfectly, and it works for the soundscape that they're going for, and everything works for the soundscape that they're going for, and it just is a great post-rock record. And sometimes you just need something that satisfies a genre to meet an end, and that's what this album does for me. It's not super groundbreaking, it's innovative, yes, but all in all, it doesn't need to be. It is just great. It is satisfying, and I highly recommend it to you. And I'm going to give it an 8.3 out of 10. But for Godspeed, I am going to give it a 7.0 out of 10. Well, did you enjoy my video? Do you hate me? You probably do. What albums did you like from April? What did I miss? Are you sad that I didn't cover Brockhampton? Well, too bad. They should make better music.